What is up, everyone? I hope you're all having a good day. It is blazing sunshine here today, so I've had to pull all the curtains because we are downstairs back on the racking, and this is one of the hardest areas to film in my house because of the sunlight coming in through the big windows. But anyway, the day has finally come that a lot of you weirdly have been asking for. I didn't think this tank was going to be as popular to everyone on the channel as it is, but it is time to scape the Weo super shallow. I can't remember how many litres it is, I'll pop it up on screen. But yeah, we are ready to scape it. Now, I got this tank from Aquarium Gardens several months ago when I visited with MD Fish Tanks. So big shout out to Aquarium Gardens. I will be back over to visit you guys at some point, but it's like 4 hours away from my house. So it's quite a drive, to be honest, and English roads are awful. But anyway, it is time to set it up. Now, the reason it's been so long, in all honesty, is a scape hasn't gelled in my mind. I like to do things differently. I like to have different scapes and different ideas, and nothing really, I don't know, I went through loads of different designs and loads of different ideas in my head and nothing ever fitted. Then, obviously, if you follow my channel and you've seen some of the other scapes, you'll have seen this tree. Now, it is wedged in the back with a few bits of wood. So this tree is a Lova schefflera. Anyway, hang on, there you go. It's that. But yeah, it's a really cool tree, and I've got this sort of vision in my head now. Where can I put you? You go down there. So now I've got this vision in my head of this like mangrove style sort of shallow tree coming over the top, roots coming in, few bits of rock, and we're done. I think it's going to be a really cool looking tank. Really simple plants, probably Anubias, maybe some floating plants, and give it that real like marsh, mangrove, swamp vibe. Now, this tank is obviously going on my racking with my jellyfish and my alien betta, so I wanted to do something a little bit different in here. So let's take all these twigs out, because we are going to need a bit of a blank canvas to start with, rather than all this. Right, let's get them out of the way. Now, equipment-wise, we're not going to go super spectacular. I'm just going to have a little internal filter. Not sure which one yet. I'll find one in my garage. But I'm just going to put that in the back, maybe behind the rocks. When we start structuring the rock, I'll be able to tell. And then the lighting, actually, I can take this down and show you. So all I've done is I've wrapped some zip ties around the, around the racking. That's the word I was looking for. And then I've put this AI blade on there, which is a really nice light unit. It does go super bright. So I don't think I'm going to need to run it full power. If I just give you a little bit of a tester, if I press this button, it will. Yeah. So it's got like 7 levels of brightness. Yeah, there you go. So it is quite a bright light unit. But I'll see what the tree likes. The tree might like quite bright light, so we'll see how we get on with that. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to put any animals in here because it is only a small tank. It's not very many litres. So I think I want to keep it quite sparse on the stocking. I'm thinking maybe shrimp, maybe some snails. I was thinking some cool snails could be quite cool. I'm not sure yet, but you'll probably know before me, to be fair, because I'll probably put it in the thumbnail of what animal I've put in there. But anyway, we've got to get this build started, so I'm going to go for a simple sand substrate in here. I've got some nice Seiryu stone to sort of work in underneath the tree. I think it's going to come out a treat, but I know first I've got to wash that sand because that sand is going to be so dusty. The last time I used it, it was like cloudy for days. So yeah, let's go and get a bucket of sand and get that washed for our first step of this super cool mangrove, swampy inspired tank. I don't know what else to call it. Right, so our substrate, we are just going to go with this super simple like grey and black sort of riverbed sand. I don't want anything too fancy in there. I'm not going to put substrate in there because I don't think I'm going to have many plants in the substrate. Like, you know, I think it's going to be mostly epiphytes and stuff growing off of rock because I think that will just suit this mangrove vibe a lot better. So let's get this washed because I'm pretty sure this stuff is really dusty. I feel like I'm going to be here all day washing this sand. So what feels like after 100 washes, our sand is ready to go. Now, it is a bit trickier to spread out wet sand, but I had to wash this stuff. You could see from that video how absolutely horrendous it was. So now that we've got our simple sand substrate in and a little bit on the shelf as well. I've realised that I've got to try and get this out of this pot. Now, me being me, I could just smash the pot, but I don't really want to. I sort of want to try and save the pot, so I think I'm going to take it outside and just give the lava stone a few hits with a hammer and hope it comes free. And then we can do some hardscape, because I obviously got to set the level with that tree in there. So yeah, let's get this unattached from its pot first, and we can go from there. It looks like they've used a really heavy duty epoxy to like stick this in, so I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to get this off. Oh. Well, we got the tree off, but we lost the pot. Oh well, at least the tree's free. So I was just looking through the spare bits of wood I had. Check this piece out, and that like sits perfectly into that. So I might actually use that as the sort of prop to hold it up out of the water, I think. I don't know if that's going to be, well, it might be a bit high. Could go further back. So I think that's the angle and the kind of look I want to go for. Hopefully once I have it angled for quite some time, all the leaves will like sort of angle themselves up towards the light. Obviously I've got a lot of sunlight coming in as well, so it might not angle itself up too much. Hopefully I've left enough space for the filter behind there. I think I have. It'll only be a little filter. So yeah, now we can get on with some rock work, because that's going to ultimately make this tree stable. So this is the rock we're going to go for. So it's just like a Seiryu stone. So it's quite light grey out of the tank, but once it gets wet, it goes quite a nice dark grey with some white marks in it. So yeah, I think that's going to look cool. I don't want too much, but just enough to support this and also create like a riverbank style sort of vibe. That's exactly the vibe I wanted to go for, and that came out really easily and really quite quick. But going for that like riverbank sort of seashore, I don't know, that's what I'm imagining anyway. This growing on the edge of a mangrove with a rocky outcrop, but yeah, really liking that. Next I'm going to put some wood in alongside the piece I've already put in. I've got a massive gap underneath this tree here, or underneath this leaf, sorry. But I'll probably just get an Anubias in there. I think that'll look nice with like a little Anubias nana bonsai. But I want to get some sticks in now, a bit like these, and just bring them over so it looks like the tree is like reaching over the rocks down into the water. Yeah, I think that's going to look wicked. Now for this I will be using a little bit of Scaper's glue, just because that's going to be able to stick those pieces of wood down, and they will float if I don't stick them down. So yeah, commence sticking loads and loads of twigs into this tank to make it look like roots. So that's all the root work finished, so it looks like they're properly like climbing over the rocks into the water. I think that's going to look great. Once this is full of water, it's going to look really cool. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know. These are Azalea wood twigs. I can't remember which store I got them from, probably Aquarium Gardens to be fair, but they are literally just cut-offs of probably all the big pieces that a lot of the shops sell. Now a lot of companies do these in little grab bags so you can just pick them up. I use them a lot for things like this, and even if I buy a big bit, sometimes I'll cut bits off and mess around with it. Don't be scared to cut them up. You can make the wood look much more interesting. You don't have to work with the shape that it gives you. You can mess around with it. But anyway, I'm finished now. Hopefully I've glued them all down enough. Fingers crossed. I'm going to go get a bit of scatter gravel. I've got to pick a colour though. I want like a grey scatter gravel, so I hope I've got one somewhere. And then, well, we're on to the planting. It's, yeah, coming along really nicely. I'm really chuffed with it. There we go. I found a nice sort of grey-brown scatter gravel, so that'll be perfect. Now, I might put a bit more of this in once the planting's done, but at least this way it gets a little bit of it in at the start to start giving it a bit of detail. So we've got to get this tank planted now, and we're going to keep it super simple with some really nice Anubias. So I've got some Nana Bonsai, I've got some coffeefolia, which is by far my favourite one because it's got these like cool dark leaves on it, and then I've also got some Anubias Nana as well, which is bigger. So I think the Nana will be the backdrop, Coffeefolia will be some hints of like interest in amongst the rocks, and then the nanas are going to fill in all the other gaps. I think that'll work a treat. As always, a shout out to Aquaflora for supplying me with aquarium plants. They've got new labels out now, and they've got much more information on the front of them, which is really good. So yeah, let's commence. Well, actually, we've got to clean these up, haven't we? We've got to open these up and get all these sorted. So let's commence doing that and cleaning them up and getting the plants ready to plant. Then we can get planting. There we are. We're not going overboard on the amount of Anubiases that I've got, but I think that should be enough, really. If you want a full video on like cleaning up plants and prepping them ready for your aquarium, I have got that video on the channel if you want to go and watch that. But now we're ready to get these planted. I might need to use some glue. Fingers crossed I can just poke them in amongst the rocks. Now the cool thing with the Anubias is that once it gets to the surface, it will start growing out of the water as well. So what I'm hoping to be able to do is like poke these in amongst these rocks and just get them sort of, yeah, tucked in rather than having to use too much glue. Need a slightly smaller one there. Oh yeah, see, perfect, like that. I'm happy with how this is coming out. There might be just a few other touches I might want to put on, maybe some mosses. I've got a really cool floating plant upstairs that I might use, but it totally depends how it looks once I've filled it up. But I think we're ready to go. I've got to stash the filter in behind to get that going. That'll just jet out from behind and we are finished with the planting. So yeah, let's go get a hose pipe. Probably not a hose pipe actually, it's not going to take that much water, is it? Let's go and get a little bucket. We'll get some water in here and then we'll have a look if we need to add any other plants. I decided to use the hose pipe because I thought if I try and use a bucket, it's going to stir that sand up something chronic with it only being that deep. So hopefully if I put this on the mist setting, ooh, still going to disturb the sand a little bit. Well, let's turn it right down and hope for the best. So now we're fully planted and fully finished. All that's left is to turn the little pump that I've hidden in behind the rockwork on, and it should come out somewhere around here and create a nice little ripple. Well, that's what I'm hoping. Oh, perfect. So I've just added a little tube onto the end of the pump, and it just comes out underneath all these leaves around this rock. Creates a nice little flow. Perfect. So I've actually got some final touches, and this is some moss that I've just rescued off of the top of one of my tanks. It was growing out of the water. So I'm just going to place these around and hopefully they will take and just start growing in and amongst all of the Anubias. I will probably regret this, but it'll make it look super natural. We are done. We've got the plants in, we've got the water in, we've got the filter on, everything is complete. We've got the tree in as well, so hopefully everything goes well from here. All that's left to do is let this clear for about a week, 10 days before I even think about putting any animals in here. I'm still not sure yet what we're going to put in here, but definitely going to find something cool. Or maybe even something standard. I don't know yet. All that's left to do though is to put some tap water safe and some filter starter in here. That will get everything kicking off and we're good to go. So I've looked up this aquarium and it's the 60 centimetre long one. So it's about 25 litres or 22 litres or something like that. Just over, well actually it's probably 20 litres with all the rock I've put in here. So the tap water safe only needs about 5 mil. And it's the same for the filter starter wherever I've put that. And then that should get everything kicking off and we can just leave it be. Hopefully everything settles in well. The water should clear up lovely. And I'll see you guys and girls in about a week. We are back. It's been probably about a week and a half now. Yeah, about 9-10 days. And the tank is crystal clear. Everything's tested up perfectly. It is looking so good. But I do want to make a change. Slightly. Nothing big, but I do want to make a change. After living with it for a while, I've noticed something. And I'll show you quickly. Hang on. Now, the thing that I want to change, and it's not necessarily change, it's actually add, is all of the roots that I placed in are all under the water, and I think we need some out of the water just to blend the two colours together. So I'm thinking like, I'm just going to chuck this one in, but something along those lines, so that there's just a few roots out of the water that look the same as the ones in the water. I think that'll look quite good. There we go, we're finished with that. So I just think that blends the tree down into the water. It was very like orange roots in the water, no orange roots above the water. Obviously these will go darker as they sort of suck in water and mature, as it were. But that will be quite cool because everything below the water will be one colour and everything above the water will be another colour. So I think that just like blends the tree down into the water. We need to go get some animals for this. Now I've been told there are some cool snails out at the shop, and I think that's what I've set my heart on for this tank. Right, we are back from the shop and they had some awesome snails, and I just picked up some standard shrimp as well, just for something a bit colourful to buzz around in there. Now on the way home, the only issue I thought about was if these snails are climbers. A lot of aquatic snails are semi-aquatic, and now I'm a little bit concerned. So I've just sat down, I've done a bit of research on them, and I think they're going to be okay, but I'm definitely going to have to keep an eye on them for the first few days to make sure they are fully aquatic, or at least they like the environment enough to stay in there. But we've got to get them acclimatised, let's get them out of here, get them floating, let them temperature equalise, and then we can get these animals in. So before getting the shrimp and the snails out, we've just better turn the lights off. Now, the AI app's quite cool actually, because you can turn it off for like different periods of time. So if I go for an hour with the lights off, at least that means I won't have the lights randomly turning back on whilst I'm acclimatising. So yeah, let's get these guys out of the bag. So we've given them about 45 minutes, nearly an hour now to acclimatise. They should be ready to go. I've dipped the bag a few times to get the tank water into the bag, and the bag is now probably the majority tank water rather than their water. So I'm going to net the shrimp out. Now we've just gone for standard cherries because weirdly I've lost my breeding colony of cherries. I think it's because I've put them upstairs with a few little fish, and I think the fish have finished off the baby. So I've only got adults now, so I'm going to try and catch them out and bring them down. But I've got a nice little group of cherry shrimp in there to go in there, and then I've got the orange spotted Filopaludina. I'll put it on the screen, or I'll say it in a minute properly, but orange spotted snail. They look so cool. I'm really excited for them. But let's get the shrimp introduced and then let's get the snails out. So first up are the little shrimp. So we'll just pour these through a net really gently so that we're not putting a lot of the water from the shop in there. Probably wouldn't be an issue, but I'm a little bit more wary of this tank because it's only small. So water from the shop could make a bigger difference. There's those little guys, they're going to look good. Hopefully we can establish a little breeding colony in here, and then I can catch out some of the babies to put in other tanks. Right, now for the snails. Oh, there's a couple of babies in here as well, look. There's a little one that just fell off. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. So we've got 4 of the adults. I've not actually looked into breeding these snails, so if there's babies already in the bag, possibly they breed, so that could be quite cool. Or disastrous, because I end up with thousands of them. Yeah, there's another little baby there. Alright, cool. Let's get rid of that bag. Let's give these guys and girls a little bit of time to calm down and chill out, and we'll bring you back when they're all buzzing about. I have had the most fun with this build that I've probably had in a long time, to be honest. I think it's the unconventional nature, the shallow tank that you can come out the top of. It just really changes things up and makes you think differently about aquariums. It's quite good fun. I hope these orange spotted snails do breed in this tank because they are so funky. I really want them everywhere. The good thing is as well, I've watched several of them get to the surface, and as soon as they get their like antennae out the water, that's it, retract back in and they dive back down. So I'm pretty sure these are fully aquatic and we're not going to end up with snails everywhere. I'm also thinking that if this tree does really well, I might hunt down a bigger one, or maybe 2 or 3, and then I could incorporate it into a bigger scape, but that'll be a future project, definitely. But it's in the back of my mind. I've got lots of projects in the back of my mind. All in all, it's quite a cheap build, really. I didn't include that much. So, you know, there was 4 or 5 rocks, a bag of the sticks, probably 6 or 7 potted plants, and the tree. The tree was probably the most expensive thing of the whole build, really. So it wasn't that expensive a build, which is quite nice. I hope you've enjoyed it. Obviously, I'll bring you back for updates to see how it's doing and how it's growing in. Obviously, the Anubias won't grow that quickly, so it won't be a very quick progression, but certainly I'm really keen to see how this tree does now that it's in essentially a lot of water. That pot used to dry up quite quickly. It was running out of water pretty much every other day, so I think now it's got proper water and a lot of it. It should grow really quickly. I'll see you in the next one, probably at a pond, but I said that last time and it's now an aquarium. So anyway, I'll see you in the next one.